Good morning and welcome to the Courage Coalition. Today we're going to dissect beliefs and the different levels of our beliefs. If you've been following along, I already talked about beliefs in your money story. But what I want to really reiterate here is that there is going to be a different level of your beliefs that are required of you at different stages in your life. So our beliefs are our truths. We talked about that. We talked about what it means to be that young 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old child, and our amygdala in our brain is forming. So I'm going into the science because I need you to understand that this isn't about your truth. It's about what was placed upon you. And that could be from experiences, that could be from words, that could be from parents, grandparents, teachers. It doesn't matter. So we have this truth based on our brain forming at this young age. And throughout life, we get to change those truths if we so desire. But a lot of times when we live in the truth for so long, we actually don't even understand it as a belief. We don't even understand that it might belong to somebody else. We don't understand that it can be changed, that you can develop a new truth. So the question today is let's say you are going through this, you're going through a business journey and you're growing your business, or maybe it's a health journey. Maybe it's a finance journey and that's why you follow along. Maybe it's just like you have that big, courageous dream you want to do. And so that's why you're following along. Every stage of that thing is going to require you to revisit those truths. And I know there's a lot of people are going to be like, what do you mean here? We have already done the work. I've already forgiven the person. I've already lost the weight. I've already connected with and done the work in my finances. But I want you to think about when we talk about, let's just go to spending. Spending is a behavior, and behaviors are created from emotions, right? So when we do the work and we get to that next level of us and it feels so right, you've began saving for that trip, let's say, and you're almost there. Maybe you've lost the 20 pounds and it's 2 years later. Maybe it's time for you to take the next level in your business. Maybe that's hiring somebody. Maybe that's expanding. There could be multiple reasons for that next level of belief in you. And what happens is when we ask ourselves, okay, so let's just say business. I'm going to expand my business. I'm going to double my clients, or I'm going to hire my first employee. There's a level of that belief that is still in you, even though you've done, quote unquote, the work. And the imposter syndrome starts coming out when we ask for the next level of ourselves, the next belief that we are capable, we can do this. We have to, again, revisit those truths that we thought we had put to rest. And it's frustrating and it's humiliating and it's emotional and it's exhausting, quite frankly, right? We're exhausted by the consistent work. But growth is change. Remember, nothing changes unless something changes. And so it's just going to get easier. Maybe the very first time you address these beliefs, you address these values, these thoughts and truths from that young age, it was really, really hard. And maybe it took a long time. But then the next time, it wasn't quite as hard because you had already done the work. You had felt like, okay, I understand where this is coming from now. At least you didn't have to find the why. And I have some tools in my back pocket, but I'm still stuck here. And so that's when you had to reach out, ask somebody for help, or find some additional help to get to that next level. So every time you're asking yourself to revisit that truth that is not true, it is a lie, but it has been placed in you at such an early time in life that you believe it to your core. You're stupid. You're fat. If you don't feel good, eat. Money's hard. Traveling is indulgent, right? I could go on and on. We all have these beliefs. And when we revisit them, what I'm encouraging you to do is just say hello to it. Just own it. Just sit with it and ask yourself, what am I reverting back to? What am I going back to? There's so many things in my life that I could give you examples of this. But I'm going to give you an example of business, because for a lot of people, business is one of those things that we just don't know how to do that next level. We don't know how to go to that next place. And so in our business, in my business, up till 3 years ago, if you know my story, it was just a side gig. And I had like 2 clients and it was comfortable. I didn't have to worry about it. I didn't have to grow. I just did my work. I was a really good bookkeeper. But what I wasn't doing is setting boundaries, because I thought in my head, if you set boundaries, you'll lose your clients. And then what? There's the value of what I was saving for was travel. And so I took on clients that didn't give me what I needed to do their books. I took on clients who refused to do what was best practices. And it really created this discontent within me. And I never fired those clients, I'm not going to lie, but they would naturally go away. And I don't know if that was because their CPA said something or what, but when they would go away, I would feel immediately like, of course they did. You're no good at your job. You don't know what you're doing. You don't have the degree. You don't have this. And I had to begin untelling that belief of what it means to be good in my job. And I knew that I asked for them to step up and do best practices. And I knew that they didn't, based on their own needs, beliefs, all those things. And that's not a part of who I am or my value or what I do. But it took some time. It really took some time as I was expanding, because I wanted to come back into that imposter syndrome and say, you're just not good enough. You're not smart enough. That was a belief that I have carried since I was so little. And then this next level has grown. And so I'm growing into this next level of growth in our business, because the goal for me is that I can support our family 100%. And Chad works with me, and maybe some of our kids even. It's a family run business. Whatever that looks like, that's not for me to control. I don't care. But do you see what I'm saying? I have this growth, this dream to really build and provide for the family now and for Chad and I's future. And so as I was stepping into that this last year, I've had just a lot of roadblocks, and I felt like, what is happening here? Why can't I get another client? Why can't, why this? Why that? Why this? I provide excellent books. And this is not my own words. This is for the CPAs I work with. They're like, perfect, Corey, no changes, right? I'm like, okay, great. Obviously I'm doing my job. But I also was really walking into this, who do you serve and who do you want to be? And I had to realize that I don't have to be a transactional bookkeeper. I get to be a relational bookkeeper. So that was the first step. And that was something that was pretty easy, because I was like, no, feels really aligned with who I am. So if clients don't want that, maybe they're not for you. Okay. 2, letting go of my first client that was not aligned in my morals, my values, all those things. Really hard to do based on just finances, period. But soon as I did that, the freedom of energy that it released was, there's no amount of money I could put with that. And what I've been able to do since doing that. And then what can I provide? What can I learn? What can I bring to the table that maybe I don't have expertise in yet, that I have basic skills? Asking myself, what does that next level of you look like? And not placing any worth based on not knowing, but just the fact that I'm willing to bring it to the table. And that was CFO services. Like, I can walk myself through a P&L and I can walk myself through a balance sheet, but I don't have expertise in them. I can't really bring to my client this next level, which is what I was asking of the clients that I wanted to attract. And so I step out to a peer that I know does this and does it well, and I ask for help. Is it hard? Absolutely. One, it's a financial commitment. Two, there's a little bit of imposter syndrome. Yeah, I don't know this. But I will tell you, I'm kind of outside of that imposter syndrome at this point because I know that every time I say hello to it and ask the question anyways, or say I don't know anyways, I grow as a business owner, as a mom, as a wife, as anything, a friend. And so I've just begun saying hello to that on a regular basis because none of us know everything. You don't know everything. I don't care how long you've been in business. You don't know everything, especially as we evolve in business and evolve in what's expected of us. But not just business. What about at home? When your children age, you have to evolve with that. You have to ask yourself, what does this next level look like for me? And what do I need to address so that I can show up for my children the best that I can? Recently, I had a reading done. It's called a family reading because I wanted to see how I could support my family the best way. And knowing how they function is so valuable. And even as a mom, you don't understand all the things going on inside of them, all those beliefs that maybe you even placed within them, but that were placed upon them by our culture, our society, all those things. You don't know how they affect them every day. But even more than that is holding them in that space compassionately with no value placed upon myself. That their beliefs, their actions, their values aren't about me. That was an evolution that I had to step back and ask myself, why is there so much emotion and roadblocks when it comes to this behavior or this child? So everything you do in life comes back down to those beliefs, and you're going to have to revisit the same one, sometimes multiple times, maybe for the rest of your life. And that's okay. Not only is it okay, but what a beautiful gift to be able to ask that next level of yourself over and over again, not rely on anybody else to ask you, but to ask yourself, but demand it of yourself. What does this next level look like? And it's not about changing, it's about growing. But remember, nothing changes unless something changes. So if there's something in your life right now that you're working on or that you have a lot of weight around, I want you to ask yourself, where am I allowing the belief to stop me in this next stage? I hope you got some kind of aha from this. Remember to download, like, share, leave me a review. This is how I know that the episodes are hitting spots and I can continue on that. I hope you have a great day, and until next time.